No respect.
All right, Lions fans, it's Rocked On Detroit Lions. Of course, you know my name is Will Rock, and I'm giving you guys the goods tonight. Let's talk about the freight train, the dynamic duo, the One Pride Express, none other than David Montgomery and JAHMYR GIBBS. I tell you what, I'm excited, and I'm gaining more excitement as the season goes on. Watching these two guys work, it's something that we've been missing for so long, and that's what tonight's all about. Is how long we've waited for something like this, and now we're starting to see it. Albeit some glimpses, some flashes, we are also seeing some consistency. But I'm going to talk about something that many of us are aware of, but for those of you fans that are not, part of what I like to do is educate. And let the fans know that are new. Maybe you're a bandwagon fan, a casual fan. Maybe you're just not a diehard fan just yet, but you will be. So I want to teach you a little something tonight. And it's about the Lions being synonymous with the Browns at times when it came to futility and the Hall of Shame records that were held kind of between both clubs. More so the Lions, you know, over the last 50 plus years, we've had our fair share of just bad records that nobody wants. But this one, I felt this story kind of goes along with what we're seeing right now in the season and why it's very meaningful to some of us. So the Browns and the Lions were tied for being the second team to go 0-16 during the 2017 season. Now, let me say that again. The Lions seemed very synonymous with the Browns through a lot of the records that we shared or that we held, right? And as I was saying, the records that have been held between the two clubs were in common at times. For instance, the Browns tied the Lions for being the second team to go 0-16 during the 2017 season, a record of shame that was set by the Lions in 2008. You know, then the Lions felt, well, hey, maybe it's time, you know, we help out the Browns with another record. Why not give the Browns a break, you know, holding all of these basement dwelling stats alone? Let's join them. Let's help them. Well, that started with Reggie Bush's 117-yard game, his Thanksgiving Day performance against the Packers in 2013. That we did not know would be the last game that a Detroit Lion would set or break at least 100 yards in the game, breaking a post-merger record for the most consecutive games without 100 yards by the Detroit Lions. Let me repeat that. Thanksgiving Day, 2013. Reggie Bush goes for 117. That would be the last time that the Lions ran for 100 yards or more by one running back or any rusher for that matter. And it would be a record that has lasted since the post-merger by any team. The Lions hit 70 games without a 100-yard rusher. 7-0. Breaking the tie that they held with none other than the Cleveland Browns. To put it in perspective for you, or to put some perspective on it, I guess, Jim Caldwell, he was 0 for 59 in getting the Lions back to 100 yards. The streak starting with Reggie Bush's Thanksgiving Day performance up till that point and beyond that point until we actually got a 100-yard game, there was 421 regular season attempts at getting 100 yards. Let me say that again. There was 421 regular season games where a rusher went for 100 yards. That's an average of 6 100-yard rushing performances per week and 13.5 100-yard rushers per team, not named the Detroit Lions during that span. It had been so long since the Lions achieved this fleeting number that every former Detroit Lion that was a rusher, running back, to reach 100 yards in a single game was completely out of the league. Retired. Done. The Lions seemed to finally realize that something needed to be done to fix this. Now, I guess it would have been one thing, right? If you're not getting 100 yards per game, but you're winning about a bunch of ball games and you're going to the playoffs, that would be great. That just means you have a really good passing game. That wasn't the case either. So in the second round of 2018, Lions traded up to draft running back Kerryon Johnson. Many of us were stumped. Some of us knew a little bit about who he was, but I'd say the large majority of everybody was probably a little miffed as to why they did this. Now, he was the 2017 Southeastern Conference Offensive Player of the Year out of Auburn. But it was surprising that we went after a running back when we had bigger needs, even though we're not getting there in the running game. And it kind of paid off, right? Or at least it paid off on opening day of 2018 when we completely thumped the New England Patriots. Johnson became the first Lions running back to rush for more than 100 yards in a game since Reggie Bush. Go figure. So immediately, I mean, the general manager, the head coach, the team, everyone is getting the high praises. We're sitting in the stands, you know, or we're at home watching the game thinking, oh my goodness, we're back. We can do it. Yeah, not so fast. That was the first line to run for more than 100 yards since Reggie Bush, like I said a few times now, Thanksgiving Day 2013. 5 seasons, almost 5 seasons. But this new low, I mean, it was a far cry, you know, from when the Lions used to be dominant in the running game. So dominant, in fact, that the 14 consecutive 3-digit rushing games by Barry Sanders set the NFL record during his 1997 MVP season. Matter of fact, Barry Sanders rushed for 1,000 yards or more in every single one of the 10 seasons he played for the Detroit Lions. He put up 76 100-yard games, 100-plus yard games, which was also an NFL record during that span. Barry was so good that he only lost that record to Emmitt Smith, who still holds the record with 78 games because Barry retired early. And more on that. We're going to find out more about Barry Sanders and what really happened this Friday night. There is a special screening. I believe it's Fox Theaters where we're going in Detroit. And it's called Bye Bye Barry. I believe it will be on ESPN or Amazon or something. But this is a special screening that's going to be held for loyal Lions fans and season ticket holders. I will be there. Hopefully Barry shows up. That would be awesome. But we'll find out more why he retired this Friday. And then when it's released nationally, everyone else will find out why. So here's a list of the running backs that have been on the team since Barry retired. The 5 best, anyway. We'll start with number 5, Reggie Bush. He was in Detroit from 2013 to 2014. He rushed for 1,303 yards as a Lion. The Lions' biggest free agent pickup in 2013, Bush immediately made a splash with just over 1,000 yards on the ground and another 500 through the air his first year. After an injury-riddled 2014, Bush was moved on after only 2 seasons in Detroit. Number 4, familiar name, Joique Bell. He was in Detroit from 2012 to 2016. He ran for 2,245 yards during those 4 seasons. He was undrafted out of a nearby college, Wayne State. The local legend forged a solid 4-year career with the Lions. Though he never was really a full-time starter, he was productive. And, anytime he saw the field, he typically did something. With a career best 860 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2014. So not quite 1,000 and no 100-yard games that I can remember. Number 3 on the list is Kevin Smith. Years in Detroit. He was with the Lions from 2008 to 2012. He put up 2,346 rushing yards. In his junior year at Central Florida, Kevin Smith ran for 2,567 yards, coming within splitting distance of a legend, Barry Sanders, single season NC2A record. He had like 4 extra games to do it, though. So I don't know if you can really compare. But it's just the way it goes. Like now there's 17 games, not 16. There used to be 14 games, and you see where I'm going with that. But he ended up with more yards in 1 year at Central Florida than he had his entire career as a Detroit Lion. Next on my list is James Stewart. He was in Detroit from 2000 to 2002. Short career, ran for 2,890 yards. Pretty productive. Everything about James Otis Stewart III was fairly boring, though. From his 19th century British aristocrat name to his 1980s baseball mustache. He had zero move north to south. His running style was lazy. But even with that said, he was quietly productive. Like I said, almost 3,000 yards in a couple of seasons is pretty good. Stewart was the official backup plan to Barry Sanders, signed in the 2000 off season. He did provide much needed depth at the time, but he obviously couldn't match his legendary predecessor's ability, highlights, stats, and pretty much anything else. But he did go over 1,000 yards twice in his 3 seasons. Then number 1 on the list is Kevin Jones. He was in Detroit from 2004 to 2007. He ran for 3,067 yards. Jones was the starter in Detroit for 4 seasons. He had an impressive first season. He joined Barry Sanders and Billy Sims as the only Lions rookies to ever go for more than 1,000 yards. However, after gaining 1,133 yards as a rookie, Jones' stats took a major dive. In his remaining time, he only gained another 700 yards. Again, in 1 season. Let me say that again. He never gained more than 700 yards again in 1 season. Now it's 2023. Tides changed quite a bit. The Lions took an approach this offseason to really revamp the running game. When their attempts to retain Jamal Williams failed, Brad Holmes acted quickly. He knew that he had to do something before doors started to close. And I'd say so far, the Lions have really done an excellent job. The running attack is alive and well again for the first time in a long time. Both Gibbs and Monty are perfect complements to each other. And to the passing game, which is on fire right now. We finally got a taste this last weekend what a healthy duo can really be and what it can really look like in this offense that has had a high-flying, powerful passing game. The Lions have turned yet another page in development and almost made Lions franchise history this past weekend with 2 rushers almost going for 100 yards apiece in the same game. Now, everything that I looked up and all the stats that I tried to find, I couldn't find anything on the Lions dating all the way back to 2000. And even beyond that, during Barry's years, so back to 1989, I didn't find anywhere that the Lions had 2 running backs or the combination of a running back and a wide receiver or a running back and a quarterback that both ran for 100 or more yards in a single game. If you can find it, please help me out with it because I couldn't find it. I don't know that the Lions have ever done it. But I think they're going to get it done with these 2. They almost did it against the Chargers, which they shouldn't have. Right? The Chargers are supposed to be some fearsome defense against the run. And we made them look like a high school team at times. Currently, well, let me back up. Monty finished with 116 yards and Gibbs was 77. And the majority of that came in the first half. And then the big run by Monty for 75 yards. But almost all of Gibbs' numbers came in the first half. I really thought that both would at least end up with 100 or more. But we turned mostly to the passing game in the third quarter and really never looked back because it just turned into an air raid type of game. Currently, their team stats are phenomenal. Rushing yards per game, the Lions are averaging 139, fourth in the league. David Montgomery is adding 83.5 yards a game. Gibbs is averaging 68 yards a game. Together as a team, they're combined for 251 rushes for 1,251 yards, or 4.6 yards per carry. Monty is 18th in the NFL rushing leaders column right now, but that number is a little twisted, and I'll explain why in just a second. He has 106 attempts, 501 yards, 4.7 yards per carry, 7 TDs, 2 fumbles, one of which he lost. I feel like that fumble stat is a little off. I could have almost sworn that he had 3 fumbles. So this stats came from ESPN. So if it's off, that's why. He does have 3 games over 100 yards already this season, but he also missed 3.5 games. 3 games he missed, and then he left early against Tampa Bay. Otherwise, if you do the numbers, just based purely off of his average, he would be the top running back in the league right now. Yes, more yards than Christian McCaffrey. Again, just based on the average, he would have more yards than Christian McCaffrey. David Montgomery. Go through a few of his games. Chargers, 116. Tampa Bay left way early, 14 yards. Carolina, 109 yards. Green Bay, 121 yards. Seattle, 67 yards. Kansas City, 74 yards. He has a long of 42, a long of 75. Then we turn our attention to Gibbs. Ooh, man, he's the last 2 games, Raiders and this previous game against the Chargers, man, he's really starting to come alive. He's 22nd in the NFL rushing leaders column right now. 90 attempts, 476 yards, 5.3 yards per touch. 5.3. He's crushing it. 4 TDs, 0 fumbles. 1 game over 100 yards so far with 152 versus the Raiders. But he's missed 2 games. Otherwise, he would be somewhere in the top 5 right now in the league. Again, just based on an average of about 68 yards a game. But he's also added 200 yards through the air. No fumbles, 1 drop. And that drop I don't even think is been recorded in the stat lines. I just know that he had that 1 drop. Maybe they gave it to Goff, but I didn't see it in stat lines. I know that he had 1. His game logs look a little something like this. Chargers, 77 yards. 35 in the air. Las Vegas, 152 on the ground. 37 in the air. Baltimore, 68 on the ground. 58 in the air. Green Bay, 40 on the ground. 11 through the air. Atlanta, 80 on the ground. And he could have had so much more in that game too. 2 in the air. Didn't really get targeted a whole lot, just 1 time. Seattle game, 17 on the ground, 39 through the air. And opening night against KC, he had 42 on the ground and 18 through the air. To put the rushing stats into perspective, last season, DeAndre Swift finished the season with 542 yards, 5.5 yards per carry, and 5 TDs, a number that Monty and Gibbs will both surely surpass. More than likely next game. Jamal Williams was the bell cow the majority of last season as Swift was constantly injured. He only finished with 1,066 yards, 4.1 yards per carry, but 17 TDs. Now, look, I don't see either one of these guys getting 17 TDs this season on the ground. So that record's going to have to wait at least 1 more season. But I will not put that record on the shelf. I feel that with this offensive line staying intact and staying healthy, and if either one of these guys can play all 17 games in a single season, and one of them gets the majority of the touches or the majority of the goal line opportunities, one of these guys might beat that record. They just might. So where does this leave us? And why did I want to do this? I think I already explained it. You better be darn excited about this rushing attack. We have Monty locked up for 3 seasons. This season plus 2 more. Gibbs, he's with us for potentially 5 seasons. And he's only going to get better like a fine wine sitting on a shelf. He's young. He's healthy. He's had limited touches. He's just now getting really comfortable in this offense. And with the way this passing game is going, man, it's leaving tons of opportunities for this rushing game to really start to flourish, even more so than it is already. So when you talk about the One Pride Express, which is the name that I just coined today, this dynamic duo of David Montgomery and JAHMYR Gibbs are just now on their way and finding their footing. It's going to be exciting for many seasons in Motown. So stand up, be proud of your Lions. Jump aboard the One Pride Express. Because if you don't, man, they're leaving you behind and in a hurry. So with that said, what do you guys got to say about it? Tell me in the comments below. Are both these guys going to get 1,000 yards this season? I think they will. If not, let me know why. Is Gibbs going to get another 500 through the air? He's already got 200 for the season. Can he put another 300 up? Can he go 1,500? I don't know if he's quite going to get there, but the way that the last, 8 games are shaping up, these are the teams to do it against. So possibilities there. Anything can happen. I don't know about you. I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to see these guys, get better every single week, week in, week out. I definitely can't wait to go up against the Bears and the Packers again. Teams that we should totally destroy. The Saints are a joke. The Lions should be able to do a lot there too. And I just want to see him pound the rock, man. It's exciting watching these guys run. The way that Gibbs just, I don't know, he has this dance about him. It's the way that he moves his feet. And it's like he knows where something, something's going to happen. He knows where these defenders are going to be. He just dances around them. He's got this weird, like, double in and out spin move that I have never seen before, utilized as often as he does it. And that's what makes this guy electric. That's what makes every single touch he gets an opportunity to go all the way to the house. So that's it for today. We'll be doing some more videos this week, potentially another one tonight. But hey, One Pride Express, man, it's on its way to any end zone near you the rest of the season. All right, y'all. Go One Pride. Go Detroit Lions. Take care. We'll see y'all later.
Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. He stole the first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful. Fields looking, pressure, hit from behind, take it down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
No respect.
So, we look like we're ready. This is day one.
No respect.